My stepkids once told me straight up that they only take orders from their real parents. That was the moment I decided I'd had enough. I changed the locks, cut off every perk and bill that was under my name, and told their dad to come get them that very night. Nobody put up a fight. Hey folks, thanks for stopping by. I honestly used to believe that if you showed enough love and patience, especially with kids, eventually you'd break through. I thought being steady and kind was the secret, that sooner or later, they'd see I was in their corner and warm up to me. Turns out, I had to learn the hard way that sometimes people, even kids, will mistake kindness for weakness and treat generosity like it's owed to them. So let me introduce myself. I'm Adrian. I'm 42 years old, and I've been married to my wife Laura for 3 years. What I'm about to share is the moment I finally stood my ground. It's a story about how sometimes the most loving thing you can do is draw a line in the sand. And mean it. When Laura and I tied the knot, we became a blended family. I brought my 2 kids from my first marriage. Sophie, who's 10, and Ethan, who's 8. Laura came in with her 2 kids from her ex. Lucas, 16, and Ava, 14. Their dad, Nathan, only lives about 20 minutes away and sees them every other weekend. From the beginning, I tried to be the stepdad I always wished I'd had. I went out of my way to include Lucas and Ava in everything. Family game nights, vacation planning, even asking them about rules for the house. I paid for their school stuff, their sports gear, and I drove them to practice just like I did for Sophie and Ethan. But here's the truth. Respect isn't something you can buy, and it's not something you can force on someone who doesn't want to give it. The first real warning sign came about 6 months after we all moved under the same roof. I asked Lucas to give me a hand with the groceries. Nothing major, just carrying some bags inside. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "You're not my dad. I don't have to listen to you." Laura overheard him and told him to help anyway, which he did, but the attitude was clear. He wasn't helping me out of respect. He was only doing it because his mom made him. I let it go. I told myself he's just adjusting. This is tough for him too. But things didn't improve. They got worse. Lucas and Ava started what I'd call selective hearing. If Laura asked them to do something, they were on it right away. If I made the same request, they'd either pretend they didn't hear me or they'd look me in the face and say, "I'll wait for mom to tell me." Chipped away at me little by little. Like when I'd cook dinner for everyone, and Lucas would purposely ask Laura if it was okay to eat what I made. Or when Ava left her stuff lying all over the living room, and if I asked her to clean up, she'd shoot back, "My mom didn't tell me to." And then it started bleeding over onto my own kids. One day, Sophie came to me in tears. Lucas had taken her art supplies without asking, and when she told him to give them back, he said, "Your dad doesn't make the rules here. Only real parents do." Real parents. That one stung. Not long after, Ethan asked me how come Lucas and Ava didn't have to follow my rules like he did. Try explaining to an 8-year-old that the rules in the same house somehow change depending on DNA. I brought it up with Laura more than once. She'd sit Lucas and Ava down and talk to them. They'd apologize, and for a few days things would smooth out. But soon enough, the same behavior would creep back in. Laura kept saying, "They're adjusting. Their father fills their heads with all this stuff about loyalty and biological family. Just give it time." But time wasn't solving anything. In fact, it was only teaching Lucas and Ava that they could disrespect me and get away with it. The breaking point came one Thursday night in February. I'd had a long, draining day at work. When I got home, I found Ethan in his room crying. He told me Lucas had broken his favorite toy, a model airplane Ethan and I had built together. And when Ethan got upset, Lucas sneered at him and said, "Tell your dad to buy you a new one. That's all he's good for anyway." I found Lucas in the living room, gaming like nothing happened. "Lucas," I said, "we need to talk about what you did to Ethan's airplane." He didn't even pause his game. "I don't know what you're talking about. You broke his model airplane, the one we worked on together." He just shrugged. "Accidents happen." "This wasn't an accident," I said. "Ethan said you threw it against the wall when he wouldn't let you use his headset." Finally, he looked at me. But there was nothing but defiance in his eyes. "Ethan's lying. And even if he wasn't, you're not my dad. I don't have to explain myself to you." I kept my voice steady. "You're living in my house. You're eating food I buy, using electricity I pay for, and you just broke something that belonged to my son. You absolutely owe me an explanation." Lucas smirked. "Your house? Mom pays rent too. Your son? Ethan's nothing to me. And you? You're just mom's husband. You're not my parent. You don't make my rules. I don't answer to you. Something inside me went cold. It wasn't rage, it was clarity. That kid had just laid it all out, and it wasn't just disrespectful. It was cruel. But I didn't blow up. I just nodded and said, "Okay, I hear you." I walked away and headed to my office. I sat down with my laptop and started making a list of everything in that house that was under my name or paid for by me. The mortgage, the utilities, internet, cable, the family cell plan, which covered Lucas and Ava's phones, our car insurance that kept Laura's car on the road, the gym membership, the streaming services, even the gaming console Lucas was sitting there playing on. And then I started making calls. First, I called the cell phone company and pulled Lucas and Ava off the family plan. Then I scheduled the cable and internet to be shut down the next day. I changed the passwords on every streaming account. Laura found me around 10 that night, still at the desk. "What are you doing?" she asked. Without looking up, I said, "Lucas made it clear tonight that I'm not his parent and he doesn't answer to me. So, I'm making sure he doesn't have to worry about taking anything from someone who isn't his parent." Her face went pale. "Adrian, what did you do?" "I'm cutting Lucas and Ava off from everything in my name. Their phones are already shut down. Internet and cable go tomorrow. And I'll need Nathan's address because their stuff is getting dropped off this weekend." "You can't be serious." I finally looked at her. "Laura, your son told me I'm nothing but your husband. He said my kids don't matter because they're not related to him. He's right about one thing. I'm not his parent. But that also means I'm not responsible for him either." "They're just kids, Adrian," she said softly. "They're still figuring things out." "No." I cut her off. "Sophie and Ethan are kids too, and they've managed to learn respect. Lucas was 16, old enough to drive, old enough to work a part-time job, definitely old enough to understand that choices come with consequences. If he wanted to pretend I didn't exist, then fine. But as far as his privileges went, I'd return the favor. I'd stop existing too." The very next day, I put my plan into action. I packed up Lucas and Ava's clothes, electronics, and personal things, loaded them into my truck, and then I went ahead and had the locks changed. I got fresh keys made for Laura, myself, and my two kids, Sophie and Ethan. Later that afternoon, when Laura pulled up with Lucas and Ava, they realized they couldn't get inside. My phone rang almost immediately. "Adrian," Laura said when I picked up, "we can't get in the house." "I changed the locks," I told her evenly. "Lucas and Ava's stuff is packed and ready to be dropped off at Nathan's." Her voice shot up. "You can't just kick out my kids." "I'm not kicking them out because they're yours," I replied. "I'm telling them to leave because they've made it clear they don't recognize me as an authority figure in my own home. And if you don't respect the person who owns the house, then you don't get to live in it." There was a heavy silence. "I'll be home in 20 minutes, I added. "Nathan can pick them up then, or you can drive them over. But either way, they're not coming back through that door until they can show me basic respect." When I pulled into the driveway, Nathan was already there. Laura had called him and he came straight over. "This feels a little extreme over some teenage attitude," Nathan said, eyeing me. I looked him right in the eye. "If your son told you that you weren't his parent, that he didn't have to listen to you, and that your kids didn't matter, what would you do?" Nathan hesitated, then admitted, "I'd probably want to teach him a lesson." "Exactly," I said. "That's all I'm doing. Teaching them that respect and consequences go hand in hand." I turned to Lucas and Ava, who stood near Laura's car looking shell-shocked. "Listen," I told them, "this isn't about being cruel or trying to get back at you. This is about respect. You've made it clear you don't see me as a parent, and you don't answer to me. Fine. But parents provide for their children. If I'm not your parent, then I'm not responsible for providing for you." For the first time since I'd known him, Lucas looked unsure. "You're really making us leave?" he asked. "You told me I had no authority over you in this house," I said. "And you were right, but authority and responsibility are connected. No authority means no responsibility." That's when Ava broke down crying. "But where will we go?" "To your dad's," I said gently. "He's your parent. I'm just your mom's husband, remember?" I helped Nathan load their things into his car. As they were getting ready to drive off, Lucas glanced back at me. "What if we want to come back?" he asked quietly. "Then you'll need to treat me with the same respect you'd give your father," I told him. Because in this house, I'm a father figure too, and I deserve basic respect. That night, Nathan drove them away. Laura was furious with me at first. We had some hard, ugly conversations in the days that followed. She accused me of being cruel, of giving up on her kids, of letting my pride come before our family. But I stood my ground. Laura, I said, I love you and I want to love your kids, but I can't love people who openly disrespect me and hurt my children. Lucas and Ava need to learn that choices have consequences. If they reject my authority, then they lose my support. Meanwhile, Sophie and Ethan seemed like different kids overnight. The tension in the house disappeared. They got their homework done without reminders, chipped in with chores without the usual backtalk, and for the first time in months, they looked relaxed at home. About a week later, Nathan called me. Lucas and Ava want to come back, he said. They've been asking every day. What do you think? I asked. I think they've learned something, Nathan admitted. Lucas especially. He's been quieter, more thoughtful. I think he realized respect isn't optional in a household. And Ava, well, she misses her mom. She also asked me to tell you she's sorry for how she treated you. I sat down with Laura, and after talking it through, we agreed to let them return, but only with clear expectations in place. When they came back, I sat both of them down. Before you move back in, I said, I need to make something clear. I'm not asking you to call me Dad, and I don't expect you to love me like you love your father. But I do expect you to treat me with the respect you'd show any adult who's taking care of you. Lucas nodded. I understand, and I'm sorry for what I said about Ethan and the airplane. That was wrong. Ava's voice was soft. I'm sorry too. I didn't realize how much you did for us until it was gone. Things weren't perfect right away. Old habits crept back from time to time, but the air in the house felt different. Lucas and Ava had learned that respect isn't just for people you share blood with. It's for anyone who cares for you. 6 months later, Lucas came to me for help with a math problem instead of waiting for Laura. Ava started thanking me when I drove her to soccer. Small things, but meaningful ones. The real test came about a year later. Lucas wanted to go to a concert with his friends. He came to both Laura and me to ask. Laura said yes, but I had some concerns about the venue and the crowd. Instead of brushing me off, Lucas actually listened. He worked with me to find a compromise that made everyone comfortable. That's when I knew we'd crossed a line and become a real family. Looking back, I don't regret changing those locks for 1 second. People called it extreme, but sometimes extreme situations need a clear and firm response. Lucas and Ava needed to understand that you can't enjoy the benefits of being in a family if you're not willing to respect the people in it. My marriage with Laura is stronger now, too. She saw that I wasn't going to be a doormat, but she also saw that I didn't give up on her kids. What I wanted was a family built on mutual respect, not one-sided obligation. Sophie and Ethan learned something too. Respect is not negotiable in our house, and their dad will always stand up for them. And funny enough, even Nathan and I get along better now. He respects that I held his kids accountable, and I respect that he backed me up on the lesson they needed to learn. So that's the story. Sometimes love means drawing firm boundaries. Sometimes being a good parent or step-parent means being the bad guy for a little while so that the bigger lesson sticks. Now I'll leave it up to you. Was I wrong to change the locks and send my stepkids to their dads? Or was it the wake-up call they needed about respect and consequences? If you've made it this far, I appreciate you listening. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to Reddit Visuals if you enjoyed the story. Around here, we believe respect matters, and so do consequences. Thanks for watching.